Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. And keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are on Tuesday, July 9th. We're going to take a look at SoFi. So once again, SoFi continuing to bleed through this 634 level. You know, in the last video that we made, I was sort of expounding on the idea of this downtrend resistance, long-term downtrend resistance at this point, and how it's going to need to be able to break through there in order to make any meaningful trend reversal, if we want to call it that. Now, I will say, there is that lingering downtrend resistance, and luckily, eventually, all trends break, or I suppose the stock delists and go to the OTC market, files for bankruptcy or something. But let's pretend, short of those things, all trends eventually break. And so I was actually getting a little bit hopeful that maybe it was going to be able to build a base off of this 634 and then maybe try to squeeze toward this compression zone here and push itself through and at least run, toward an attempt at the 693, which would, psychologically feel like it's pushing towards 7. However, we had these slew of analysts, not necessarily downgrades, but cuts in price targets today, some of them maintaining, their current buy, hold, whatever it is. But there are several cutting price targets here, lowering a price target from 8 to 10, from 10 to 8, from 750 to 7, so on and so forth. And that has just historically had, a relatively decent impact on SoFi, at least intraday, right? And so we see this big dip down today, and then right now showing at least a wick up. So where does this leave us? Obviously, in my mind, it's not great that not only did we slip this 634 again, but we put in a significantly lower low than this, like 620. What was this day? 620. Now I know 620 to 615 may not feel significant, but it's not like it was super close to double bottoming there, if you will, right? Like something that just on the face of it would look like a double bottom, right? That clearly doesn't look like a double bottom. So that's what I mean by that. Now, I don't want to be looking through this constantly with rose-colored glasses. So take this with a huge grain of, dark-colored glasses, whatever the opposite of rose-colored glasses is. But, this strong wick up, does tell me maybe investors, be it retail or large-scale investors, institutions, whatever it is, maybe they see huge buying opportunities, just prior to reaching the $6 level, right? So any dip towards 6 feels like a really good buying opportunity to them. Maybe that's what that wick up means. Again, that's if I want to look at this with anything that is adjacent to hope. So if that continues to play out for us today, and we have a couple hours left to go here from when I'm making this video, but if it can continue to put in the candle that it's putting in right now, it will end the day relatively still stuck to this 634 level. Now, yes, it did dip through it, but the story of this candle is going to be it was able to stick itself to 634. Remember, when there's a level, it's not just that pinning itself to that level means that it never dips above or below it. Look at it right here. Right, clearly dipped below it, right? That's not even touching it. This one is a sad wick down, but then it was able to get back up through it, and then it had this strong top wick, and then it fell through further. And so it just sort of means that it constantly is sort of a little bit above, a little bit below, a little bit above, a little bit below. So I may sort of be taking a little bit of the good with the bad here. Yes, it dipped below 620, which was this previous low in the most recent sort of swing pattern, if we will. And so that doesn't give me great feels, but being that it's recovered quickly intraday and is back to once again battling with that 634, if it can end there, maybe maybe we're back to that initial hope that I had of building off of this 634 and trying to be a break from this downtrend resistance. Now, it could try to break it and fail. It could break through briefly like we saw here and then really quickly fail, but at least it would give an opportunity for, if it does break it, that maybe there's some carry through. So we'll see what that sort of looks like as we get through the rest of this. Now, I know I have to zoom out quite a bit here. If it does break through or break down further from that 634, be that the rest of the trading day today or in the coming days, right, that the dip buyers all stepped in today, but that they don't step in again if the price dips down a little bit, right? If that happens and we get a little bit more of a capitulation and a lower swing, then I have 561 on the chart here. We're in pretty thin territory at that point, right? There's not a ton of price action here. I mean, it's certainly not nothing. It could be worse, but in spots it's pretty thin because it kind of runs through areas, right, and returns to them. So 561 is what I'll be looking at if it dips again and buyers just aren't there because they were there this time around and that was about all that they could stomach. Now, on the think or swim side of things, I'm going to bring in the ATR levels in a second because I think they may be the most helpful. The oscillator down here, start from bottom up, is still showing a continuation of this, selling phase. There was a trigger and fire and then a very brief re-trigger and fire, and that pushed it, had a pretty big push down here. That was when it was trying to make an attempt upward here, and that's persisted. That's still playing out on the TTM squeeze indicator. And as it looks today, at least, basically where we are on this channel setup is pushing off of the lower bound of the channel, wrestling with the lower mid-range of the channel, this one here. So it's not the mid-range, which is that bright blue line, which is where we'd like it to get to. I'd like to start seeing it pinning itself to that. That would get it out eventually from that downtrend resistance. But at least at this point, it is still staying channel bound. And, we have a few hiccup candles here in this histogram. We'll see if, where this can finish, depending on if there's a rally later in the day or if it does sort of sell back off again into close. Now let's bring in the ATR levels because that might give us an idea. I'm going to go on the swing range. The swing range basically covers monthly period. So these levels are good through the end of July and then they reset in August. They're also dynamic, so they do shift. So where these are going to be in a week or maybe even just in a few days could be different from where they are now. However, it is still mid-range of these ATR levels, meaning here's our sort of mid-level or standard level, and here's the call trigger, here's the put trigger, and then the ATR levels that expand below and above each of them. Now, if it does get below right now, 598, so again, dips just below that 6, maybe sort of really throws into chaos all of those buyers who thought anything near 6 was a good deal. Once it breaks 6, maybe then everything sort of breaks down further. If that's the case, it would come in here just below 5, and then it would fill that out all the way down, around 4. So I don't know if that'll fully play out. If it can get some movement here to the upside, call trigger you see there at 724, and that could stretch it up ultimately all the way to 928. Now this mid-range right now is situated about 662 or so. So we'll see how those levels sort of play and what that means, if anything. But that's my view on it for the moment. We'll see how the day continues to play out. 634 is really what I'm still looking at. Do we break down because it can't hold it, or will this be like a nice sort of dip and buy up the dip and push sort of situation to try to get it at least an attempt through that downtrend resistance? We shall see. All right, folks, I hope that your trading week is off to a good start. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.